All right, guys, we are live. We're doing it. We're doing the thing. Today we are doing some really nice things, some really cool things. We're hanging out with Dylan from Whiskey House Pub House, and we are going to talk about all kinds of weird, crazy. We're going to get into some whiskey, obviously, and we're just going to have a good time. And then we'll get into the backstory of this whole live and how this came apart. But without further ado, here's Dylan. What's up, brother?
Not much. How's it going for you?
Well, we can get into that right away if you want. But first thing I want to do is I want to get something in the glass. Thank you, Tater Dom, for being here. Dylan, I don't know if you can see the chat at all.
I think
okay. Maybe not.
There, I got it. Yep.
Okay. It's not a big deal. I just didn't want them to ask you a question and me not be. Sure. I can put it on screen, but I did. I want to get. Let's jump into this Natterjack mistake. So I'll do a little backstory before we get into it too much. But so Dylan is one of thankfully one of my Patreon supporters, which I thank you so much. You did not have to do that, and I appreciate you doing it though. And we were sending out blind samples to everybody. Well, not blind, but samples of people that have been on the podcast, and I wanted them to try samples. Well, guess what? Nobody could do today at 2:00, and then Dylan's like, I can do it, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I decided we're gonna make an episode out of it, so why not? So the Natterjack, this one especially is the mistake. If you don't know about Natterjack, where are you guys at? They are Irish whiskey based out of Austin, Texas. Yeah, so it's kind of strange. Aiden over there, we did a podcast with him. He super cool guy. He got hit by a bus. They're really strange. It's a strange story. Go back and listen to it if you haven't. But one of the cool things is they take 3-year-old Irish whiskey from Ireland. You know, they don't. They have to make it there and everything, and they bring it to America and age it for 1 more year, and that gives it its like Texas profile. And then with this one, they left a bunch of barrels in the back of the warehouse, and they sat for another year. So this is actually 5-year-old Irish whiskey. Now, and Dylan, you might be able to answer this question. I don't remember, and don't shoot me on this, but I don't remember if they aged it fully in Ireland, because they got the actual casks,
right?
Or if they aged it, 3 years in Ireland and 2 years in America. And if they aged the 2 years in America, does that make it Irish whiskey still?
For me to be sure, I'd have to go back and listen. Go check out his episode that he did with Natterjack. Yes. But I feel like it was probably 3 years Ireland and then moved.
Yeah.
Right. But
right. That's what I thought, because I'm almost certain that they put it in a new American oak cask. They transferred it from a used cask. He could not tell me their provider, but he said it's a big one in Ireland, and there's like 3 distilleries in Ireland. So guess. And so then they took it to America, and they aged it further here, because the color on it isn't super dark, but it's definitely darker than most. I've had some 12-year-old Irish whiskeys that aren't this dark. So I'm thinking it has some. It's really weird. I have it streaming on my phone as well, and it's like I see it out of the corner of my eye, and it's like 5 seconds late. So it's freaking me out a little bit. Doc, hey, what's up, brother? Yeah, no, we decided to do live. I didn't do anything about it, so it's fine. So if y'all have any questions for Dylan and all the stuff they're doing over there, please put them in the comments.
Yep, I'm trying to manage my comment screen, and the camera. So
yeah. No, I mean, and those of y'all who've ever done any sort of video, anything, it's very difficult to do all the behind the scenes work and the forward work and present a halfway decent product at the end of the day. So
it's a dance.
I'm gonna step away from the mic a little bit and give this a little nose. It has a lot of that typical Irish smell to it, but it's very vanilla, and very you almost get the oak on the nose as well, which every other Irish whiskey I've ever had you do not. It's really approachable and nice. And unfortunately, that's the last of the bottle. Like, I've sampled out so much of this whiskey to people because I'm like, hey, this is cool, try it, and then I'm like, I'm stuck with the dredge in the bottom. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to hurry up and drink that before it starts oxidizing, because it has one of these little chinchy corks on it. It's a really small cork, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want that to oxidize. I want it to still be good. So yeah. Anyway, what are you getting on it?
Well, I'm getting some apple and like some baking spice on it.
Yeah, baking spice for sure. And the apple is like a green apple, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite tasting notes for Redbreast 12 cask strength is a Granny Smith apple dipped in caramel, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, to me, it's spot on because that's exactly what it smells and tastes like. And so I'm like, this is just dessert. This one is a little, I would say, woodier, if you want to use those technical terms that we're doing here.
Oh yeah, compared to an Irish, it's got a lot of more wood impact. Standard.
How's it going, Chef? Good to see you here. Yeah, sorry guys, we did this kind of last minute. I will get into that here in a second. Make sure if you haven't already, make sure you go over to Dylan's page. They have a podcast. They have all the things. Dylan, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's for sure me and usually one other guy, Whiskey Boy, the mysterious Whiskey Boy who has no true identity. It's kind of like the Stig for us. And my other co-host, Zach, and sometimes Carter. We usually just kind of sit back, try some stuff. Sometimes we have a in-depth conversation about some whiskey-related topic, such as maybe bottle and bond or wood finishing. And lately we've been doing a little bit more on the YouTube style and review stuff. So if that's what you're into, feel free to check us out. But
absolutely. And when this goes out, in the description, I will have all of their stuff down there. Yeah, like I said, this is part one of hopefully a multi-series collaboration between my stuff and their stuff, because they're doing really cool things, and it kind of commingles into what I do. So it's really cool. On the taste on this Natterjack, and Psychman said he was able to make it, which is awesome. And if you do not, nice. Psychman, if you do not want to come on camera, I totally understand. If you want to drink along with us, you're more than welcome. Psychman is also a patron, and he got some samples of this. Hey, Peter White, thanks for coming. So it's really on the taste. It's really nice. It's viscous. What was the proof on it again? Lord,
I don't know.
46.
That's 46. Wow, man, the viscosity on that. In tangent with the spice on it, I would not have thought it was a 46.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, this is rich. I mean, it's not really clinging to the glass. I know some people do that. It is wiping the glass pretty easy, so it doesn't have a whole lot of oil in it. But you also have to understand, Irish whiskey, most Irish whiskeys are triple distilled as well. So take that for what it is. We'll tell you that the Natterjack cask strength is very hot, like in a good way. It's 63% because they can go over, standard bourbon profile. They can do pretty much whatever they want. They can put hazmat in the barrel if they want to, because they don't really get a whole lot of fluctuation. They actually lose proof in the barrel instead of gain proof. So Yeah, no, it's a really nice taste on it. So I'm gonna go in again. Everybody at home is just watching two dudes drink whiskey. It's like, what are we doing here? What have we come to?
That's what everyone loves.
Absolutely.
I get a little bit of like pear on it. I might have chased some pear fruit.
Yeah.
I might have followed it too close to my water, but
yeah,
man, and then the spice on it, like I said before, it's got so much character to it.
Yeah. At first, I thought you said hair, and I was like, that's weird. I don't know if it tastes like hair. Maybe shampoo-y, maybe, I don't know, but no.
We get some weird notes every once in a while.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I am the king of weird notes. Yeah, no. It has and then the finish kind of goes for a minute, and it leaves you almost. It's slightly minty, maybe, or menthol.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I guess at the very end, like as I'm talking, I can feel it. Like on the breath, I can kind of feel it. Super nice. I didn't expect to have this many people in the chat. I appreciate y'all being here. There's supposedly 7 watching, so I mean that's for an impromptu that's pretty good. Okay, so we've got past that part, and feel free to chime in at any time. I can sit here and talk to this camera all night long, so feel free to chime in at any time. So the reason we're doing this is because I was going to send out the samples. Nobody could do the date. Dylan decided he wanted to do something, and I was like, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it live, because I need to get my watch hours up. That's part of the thing, the dreaded watch hours that you have to do, and the other thing, like just having people around that you can talk to, and talk about whiskey, and it's not like a full-on interview style where it's like I'm trying to get some information out of you. It's more like, what is your take? What is your thoughts on this?
Shop talk. Yeah,
absolutely, shop talk, because it is taxing on me when I have pages and pages of notes that I'm typing out, because I can't, I'm functionally illiterate, so I can't write them down either. I have to type them. I have to type everything out, and so it's like I type out all these notes, and I'm like trying to be as precise in everything I do. And sometimes it's just nice to be like, hey, this is a good whiskey, guys. It just kick back a little bit and not have to worry about it. So that's the other reason we're here. And we're going to get into another whiskey here in a little bit, and maybe another, who knows? We'll see where it goes. I don't know how, I forgot to ask you before we started. I don't know how long you can go. I don't want to keep you too long.
I don't have any previous engagements other than this, so I can
cool.
go as long as we want.
We're not pulling an all-nighter, so that's not happening. I do have other things I have to do this afternoon,
Yeah, that one. So what's the price on that thing? Do you know what the SRP kind of is?
This one I actually did purchase, and it was like $85. And you can get it on I don't know if you can still get it on their website. I did purchase this one. They graciously donated 2 bottles, but it wasn't this one, because I wanted to do a side-by-side of the original, the cast strength, and this one. And I have yet to do that, and I need to hurry up before it's gone. I've got a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to content.
I hear that.
And some people don't want to hear content about me, drinking whiskey or whatever. They want to hear the facts. They want to hear the talks with the distilleries and the whiskey people and stuff like that. So I get it. So like I can't focus all of my content on whiskey review.
Yep.
I was going to do it just at the house by myself, but then I'm like, here's the deal. If you're not creating content, if you're not out there actively doing the content, it's you're losing out. You're losing out on people watching and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody in the chat that's here and hanging out with us. Okay, so if you had to give this whiskey a rating, I don't know if you do that or not, but if you had to give it a rating, what do you think you would give it?
I think the rating in a Irish, using that as like a lens, I mean, this is right in the, I would say 80 scale out of 100.
Okay. Right.
it's got more upfront flavors than like a Redbreast. I don't know if it has the subtle nuances, but I mean, there definitely gonna be a lot of days where I would pick this up over like a Redbreast 12, and the other ones are still expensive. But
absolutely,
no, this is really good. Yeah,
no,
I'm really happy to try it.
I feel the same way, because like it is a little, if you want to call it, punchier. It's more of a bourbony or profile with the oak presence and all of that, this high vanilla content and stuff like that. But it has that very I'm not going to say smooth, that very approachable palate to it, to where you're like, you're drinking an Irish whiskey. It just gives it a it has some nads with it, if you know what I mean. It's just it's whiskey with nads, or in my case, nad. But so I'll tell you a little story, and this is stuff that we're dealing with here at the house. So as of right now, what is today? The 21st. Yeah, the 21st. Yep. This is kind of the 1-year anniversary of the diagnosis of the big C word, right? The cancer. So it's kind of, taxing on our brains and our hearts and stuff like that. I mean, luckily we're great. I'm sitting here doing this with you, drinking some whiskey. We're having a great time. But then we also noticed last week that our air conditioner started leaking, because I know you're a little higher up north than I am. I literally have my AC blowing right at my chest, and I'm sweating through it. So just understand, I'm suffering for you guys. No, but so our AC broke. The drain got clogged or something, and it leaked on into the return air duct, which we don't have basements, we don't have any of that, so it leaked all over our wood floor. Which, okay, cool. So now we're in the part of trying to get all that fixed. Well, in the process, my wife called a mold inspector, and the mold inspector, in all of his glory, and he's certified by the state and all these things, told us to bulldoze the house. Yeah, like legit, straight faced. Told my wife. Of course, I just happened to be at work when he came. Told my wife, bulldoze the house. And she's like, what? I don't know if I can do it. What? We live in it's an old German style rock house. And then they added on to the back of it. And our bedroom used to be the old smokehouse that they would smoke their meat and stuff in. So like, super cool house, right?
Yeah.
We don't deserve this house. We got it for a killer deal, owner finance. We're doing all the things. I'm like, I can't afford to tear this house down. Like there's no way. And then, so I talked to the guy, and he goes, okay, here's the deal. The AC is 85% of the issue. If you can get the AC replaced, get all the moldy wood or whatever out of there, then you're good. I said, well, what is every other house in America? He goes, they're at best 50% mold free, at best. And I said, so if I do the AC, I'm 85%. And he goes, yes. I said, so I'm already better than everybody else. So then my wife calls him back and is trying to talk to him about, okay, how do we go now about, like, is there any DIY type stuff that we can do to remediate? I know you'd probably have to wear a condom suit and a mask or whatever and scrub the walls down or whatever. This is what he said. He went from, and if I'm lying, I'm dying, okay? He went from saying we have to bulldoze the house, or you gut the entire house down to studs, and then you sand every stud and every piece of wood 1/16 of an inch. Run a sander over it, and then rebuild your house from there. 2, or you can spray it with water and wipe it off with a paper towel.
Seems like there's a lot of extreme different options he's got going on.
Absolutely. And I was like, okay, so these are huge red flags to me. Huge. Because for one, I'm not bulldozing the house. And for 2, here's the other thing. And this is, we then found out that, like, anyway, we're moving to a different person. Anyway, but he did not swab the house for mold.
So he just came in and checked around, looked.
He came in, checked around. He drilled some holes in the wall and stuck a camera, like a little camera in there. He stuck a camera in there, and he was like, hey, look, it's all yucky in here. Yeah, it's going to have dust. It's going to have all those things. So we have a special guest, guys. I don't know if y'all are ready for this. This is his debut appearance on the show, but it will not be the last. And Dylan, if you're ready, we got Psych Man coming on.
Let's do it.
Hey there.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Hey, yeah, no, we're all surprised by that. And the funny thing is, Psych Man's over here doing his thing. He's been following my stuff for a long time, and I appreciate all that. But he was supposed to be on the Patreon live stream as well, and it didn't work out. I think those were the only two that said maybe. So. So this is fun. So like all the ones that are watching right now, they're going to get to see what we do in the Patreon on a live stream when it actually happens. So Psych Man, have you poured anything, or can you?
Are y'all still on the Natterjack, or?
I mean, I can re-pour it if you want.
I still got a little bit in mine
now.
I mean, I don't want you to use the entire sample, Dylan, but
I still have over half my sample, so I just got a little.
Cool. And okay, I want to ask a general question to everybody who's listening or watching. I've heard from other people that, and I'm not using them anymore, but that those plastic bottles are the ones that tend to leach and they can alter the taste of the whiskey. And I guess I could get it with very high proof whiskey. I could get that. You want to go more to like a glass thing. Has anybody had any experience with that?
I have not had any firsthand experience with it. I have heard the high proof thing. I have also heard heat seems to be more of a factor for the leaching, but I don't know. I think it depends on the plastic types. Mm-hmm. These, for reference, these all, at least, well, I should say the Natterjack at least, I don't get any hint of leaching.
Cool.
But
cool. I'm glad to hear that. And I've moved from that particular style to another style. But I think I'm going to go back to glass just because the issue was I had some in transit that I shipped to somebody, they broke. Sure. And so, that's partially my fault because, you have to just expect they're going to kick your samples down the street, so you have to be ready for that. So
got to get Randall's tape job here.
I don't want it to leak. I know y'all saw that picture of some samples I sent to your drinking buddy in Arizona. He lives in Tucson, and I sent him ones in the other plastic bottles, and it literally blew the bottle up because it got so hot. And it was a blind flight that I sent him, and he's like, I don't even know, like it messed up all the labels. Like there's high proof whiskey in a Ziploc bag now. That's all I got. I said, well, make an infinity blend out of it, pour it out, and you'll be fine. It's fine.
Yep.
So I had to send more whiskey to him. It's like, great. No wonder I only have that much. You know what I mean? Like I'm having to resend whiskey to everybody.
Sounds like he got the better half of that. He got infinity
so.
blind and good sample.
Yeah, exactly. Because there was a couple of them that looked like they didn't burst. They would just be a fun blind. You don't know what you're going to get, but you don't even know what it is. But it obviously is going to taste pretty good.
Yep.
So
we're going on to the dad's hat. I'm sorry.
Huh? Go ahead.
What's Psych Man pouring?
Well, I thought he was pouring the Natterjack still.
I did pour the Natterjack. I'm already jumping on the King's Code.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that as well. Yeah, for sure.
I will follow
Just wanted to get the plastic off, the tape off there.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame you.
I was really looking forward to both of these samples.
Well, so I told Dylan earlier, just beware that if you're going to do King's Code then Natterjack, it's going to skew your palate because it is slightly peated. So I don't know if anybody at home has seen the bottle of King's Code, but you really can't see it. It looks like a Johnny Walker bottle, and it has code because Irene Tan was a coder for, a web coder or whatever. And so this is a blend of 52% Irish whiskey, which is Clonakilty, 44% American whiskey, which is Kings County, and 4% Scotch whiskey, which Coolila. Okay. She couldn't say that on the bottle, but she's like, it's a this and this. She kind of skirted around on it, and she hand blended this herself. And this is the second iteration. There's another one that has more Irish in it, and it has it doesn't have the Scotch. It has another American. I don't remember what it was. But it's so far I've been really pleased with it. And I can't. Oh, I need to pour it in my glass. I have an empty glass, so I don't have that thing on my mixer to do the wah wah wah. So
I think he did a good impression of it.
yeah, well, I thought so. I keep wanting to do the bullhorn one, but I can't find one. I have this one. Can you hear that one?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
What I did for a little bit, I still got to get a soundboard, but
yeah,
sometimes I go back and just when I edit podcast, when somebody says something that's like that'd be great out of context, I just clip it, save it, set it aside. I'm like, yes, one day absolutely. This is going to come in handy.
Yes, absolutely. You have like this one folder with like all these like 5-second clips of different weird crap.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, what am I going to do with that? Nothing today. It's taking up all my memory on the computer, but one day this will be gold. So, Psych Man, how were you able to get here? I heard you had family stuff and all those things. Like how?
I mean, it worked out. The in-laws left a little earlier than I was anticipating.
Okay. I get it. We got to keep the in-laws happy.
Of course, you got to have
some
whiskey after in-laws visit, right?
Well, hey, at least your in-laws are bearable. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could be worse. It could be worse. Dylan, how are your in-laws? Do you have in-laws?
I don't. I am not married, which is either, very good or, could always get better. But I don't have anyone to watch out for, I guess.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's say if your parents or you had a bunch of family over, when is the best time to drink whiskey? With them or after they leave?
My dad, I tried to get my dad a little bit into it, and I have succeeded a little bit. He was not a big peat fan at all.
Right.
He ended up getting COVID a while back, and it completely reset his palate.
Oh, wow.
And so I started introducing him to peated scotches again.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I actually like that. And I think what it was one of the few things he could actually taste.
Mm-hmm.
And so for whatever reason, he kind of liked it. And he's gotten into more stuff. He was just a rum and Coke guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Sailor Jerry. But now, old fashions and cocktails, pretty much whatever, if he sees something, it's like, bring it over. Right.
Cool. Okay, are we getting into the King's Code now?
We can.
Okay. So
I was tasting on that Natterjack is what I've been.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. To me, that Natterjack is super.
It is fantastic.
I actually hadn't tried the Dad's Hat yet, so I'm gonna try that
first.
Oh
yeah. I told you to drink that.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
I finished the Dad's Hat sample that you sent me last night.
See.
Yeah.
So guys, if you want samples, don't ask me right now because I'm broke as a joke. Obviously, I'm having to deal with all the crap right before Sightman come on here. We're eventually going to have to move out of the house. They're going to rip stuff apart. We do have an AC contractor, which is great. We've nailed him down, and he wasn't the most expensive. It's super expensive. Anything you do is super expensive, but we've got him nailed down, and we have another mold inspector coming tomorrow, and he's going to tell us if we have to light the house on fire or if we can just, wipe it down with a paper towel.
Go check out his Patreon if you want to support him.
Absolutely. Please do. I'll take all the help I can get.
Yeah. You get a $1 level even, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can get in for as little as $1. Patreon.com/thewhiskeyshop. You got to do the selling used cars voice. So on this King's Code, I'm going to it because that's what's in my glass. But I got a new Glencairn. You guys can't see it, but it's I don't know if you know who Baker Drinks is. They're a YouTube couple, and it's a man and wife, and they're really cool, and they are out of Oregon or Washington, one of those, right there in the border between Oregon and Washington. I think Kelso, if I'm not mistaken, and they do really cool content. And I got a Glencairn from them. It's a really simple design, but it's super cool. And I'm like, I've been trying to get Glencairns made for a long time. I know Psychman has one of the old ones, but I'm trying to get some new ones with something on them. Nobody wants to do them. They're either too intricate or they're going to look weird, so I got to come up with a really simple design to put on it and they get expensive. Like good Lord,
Yeah.
like by the time you buy them. Like if I was to buy them from Glencairn in Scotland, have them monogrammed there, you're looking at probably $15 to $17 a glass by the time you get it. And then how can I turn around and sell that? I mean, what am I going to sell for $30? Like, no, I can't do that. So it's a difficult road. But merch and everything is coming. But it's just one of those things you got to baby step it. I'm just happy to have stickers at this point.
I had, I think one of our first blending things we did, I made a couple glasses with the old logo on them. And I had one and washed it in the dishwasher, and it didn't break, but it got a hairline fracture on the design because I think it was like sketched. So now it just sits on the shelf, and I'm like, I'm not touching that thing.
Yeah.
But those are expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a local engraver here, and they do like sandblasting and stuff like that, and they engrave on like Yeti cups and stuff like that. And
Cool.
I asked them, could you, because they did like a rocks glass, and they engraved like "Happy Birthday, Dad" or whatever on there, and I was like, hey, can you do this? And she did it, but she's like, I've never done it like with these glasses because they're tulip shaped, so it's kind of difficult to get the design on there. And she had one of the machines to do it, so it's not like she's freehanding it or something like that. But she was very sketched out by it. She obviously didn't want to do it. But I got 2 sets of glasses made from her, and it was like 10 glasses. It wasn't even that many, and it was very expensive. I was like, oh, okay, this isn't going to work. I paid for the glasses, which luckily I bought those on Amazon, right? So they weren't super expensive. But then I paid her like, I don't even know, $100 and something to do like 8 glasses. I'm like, okay, this is not worth it to me.
This ain't working.
This ain't working. Okay, so King's Code. Let's get into it. If you're not drinking it, drink it. So
and you said this one was peated?
Yes, it does have 4% peated scotch in it. So, and I forgot to tell you guys the proof. 59.5. So it's a hot mama.
Yeah.
Coming in hot. So
it doesn't come across real hot though to me.
No, it doesn't. I think it's the Irish whiskey that's in there that's mellowing it down a little bit. Not smoothing it out. It's just mellowing it.
That 4% really is taking the front of it as it usually does for peat, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't take much peat to overload the blend for sure. And I think it's in the forefront. You can tell it's there, but it's not like overwhelming the nose at least. And then
I'm getting some smoke like at the end.
Right. But once you put it on your palate and you get that smokiness like up front, and you're like, oh, okay, that's smoky. But then after you smell it, after you've had a small sip, that smoke kind of dissipates a little bit, and it gets you more into like a pear, not hair, but pear, and like not green apple. This would be more like a Fuji or a red apple, where it's like more crisp and maybe even a little waxy.
I was thinking waxy because I was actually, one of the first things that came to mind was like the waxy Twizzlers.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. Like the smoke is super subtle. It's nice. I'm not knocking the blend. I could maybe do without the smoke. Like it's good, but like it's not really presenting to me. I don't feel like it's really enhancing. It's just adding a smoke layer to it. which is neither here nor there for me. Like, it could either be dialed down maybe a little bit, like 3% or 2%, or dialed up quite a bit to where you're like, oh, that's smoky, but it's delivering flavor as well. Yeah, no, I was thinking about putting a little water too. I have a pipette. I'm not going to use my finger. You animal.
Yep. I clean this at some point.
Yeah, one day. One day. I am pulling out of the trusty Yeti, though, which has never been cleaned in my life. So, it's set and setting, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to put 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. We're real precise around here, guys. Real precise.
So the adding of water for me on the nose really kind of spiced up the peat aspect.
Yes. And it made it punchy. It made it punchier on the nose too. The proof, the ethanol punched out too. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Wow.
Yeah, I like the blend, but sorry.
No, you're good. Go.
I think the blend is good. I totally agree with your assumption with it does seem like there's more peat than necessary, but who knows what the blend was like before.
Right. Well, because from and that's the strange thing. Like, I talked to her, it's been a while since I've talked to her, but like, she's like, it was missing something.
Sure.
The blend was missing something. And I'm like, is peat the way to go? I would think, and this is just me, but you guys already know where I'm going with this. A really heavily sherried Scotch.
That's what I was thinking.
Would have throw 4% of that in there, like a Glendronach or something like that, and throw that in there, which maybe she couldn't get Glendronach barrels, maybe, I don't know, but throw some of that in there, and it gives it that raisiny note and darkens it up a little bit. I don't know. That's just my personal thoughts on it.
I'm gonna grab my Glendronach and add to it.
You do that. I don't have.
Randall, like, I have not ventured out into the peat world yet, so this is one of my first.
I know. Popping your cherry live on.
Yeah, for real, you just did.
That's both good and bad. I feel like you need to be alone for that, but whatever.
Sounds like I missed something.
Yeah, you did. You missed something. Are you opening a brand new bottle?
Yeah, sometimes when I come across really good deals, I just pick it up, and I love a Glendronach.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know when I bought this though.
Oh,
cork pop.
Wow, that was a good cork pop.
All right, let's see. What's going to be the best way to do this?
I know what I can do. I can get some of my Infinity barrel and put some of that in there because it's super sherried. Stay tuned. Y'all talk while I do the thing.
I just added a little bit of the Glendronach.
I was telling Randall that I haven't ventured into the peat world, so this is like my first real peated. Yeah, yeah.
What are you thinking so far?
I enjoy it. I've had some like smoked, like Andalusia, some of their smoked striker and things like that, but I haven't had peat yet.
Man, that was like one of the first things I actually got into after playing around in bourbon first. The Man, I mean the Lagavulin 16. I mean, if you could find, actually the Ardbeg 5 is probably one of the more affordable entries you can get. I'm trying to think what else.
I think Randall was is Kilkelman or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. That'd be a good one. And then you can look forward to the Octomores or something else like that.
I might have to start now.
So can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I broke the end of my headphones.
Just now?
When I turned around, it pulled the entire mixer on the floor. I am a hot mess, guys. Like you just got to hold on for 1 second.
All right. Well, I'm giving this a little bit of time to settle. Pouring the Glendronach, a very precise amount of a nudge. And man, you can already smell that.
I like the earthiness.
Mm.
All right, we're just gonna have to do it without headphones, which is gonna be weird for me because I'm used to hearing myself, and when I can't do that, it makes me feel weird. But we're here.
I'm gonna try my blend. I did.
I put like 5 drops of my blend in as well.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel a little strange saying that that's fantastic since it's one of my favorite whiskeys that I put into it, but that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That has the pepper note there still, but it adds the whole rounding of the whole experience back into it.
Dude, that is, I put, 5 drops or whatever of mine, which is heavily sherried single malts, whatever. But yeah, no, it really tamps down the smoke a little bit, but then that peppery note that you're talking about is still there. So like we're getting the same experience. So you could literally use any sherried scotch, put like 2 or 3 drops in there.
Mm-hmm.
It'll if you're not into that smoke profile, it'll tame that smoke, but yet you'll get the bite of that of the peat. Yeah.
So how much are you having in that Infinity blend now?
Oh, good Lord. I have a lot. I will get my book. So I ended up going back to the liquor store and buying another bottle of Tobermory. No, Aberdeen. Golly, now I got to look for that.
So what scotches have you tried, Psych Man?
Well, it's been a wide range. And it's I like just picking up random things. I'm typically texting Randall, hey, what do you think about this one and that one?
I love doing that. Yeah, just be like, that one looks interesting, or it's on sale, and you pick it up and then you find out. Yeah,
Balvenie, some of the ones that are out there that are pretty easy to find. Abalor. I think there was, I can't remember, I'm gonna butcher that. It starts with an E, like
Ecuador.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I had that one.
Edgador.
Yeah,
Edgador.
And that one was surprising. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah. So the bottle that I ended up putting in there was Tobermory. Yeah, Tobermory, Highland single malt Scotch. It's the sherry cask finished. It is a lower proof, but it has a lot of sherry influence. It's this one right here. It's the 500. Really great. This is the second bottle I put in there.
Nice. Sorry,
God, my hair's all crazy now because I'm not wearing my headphones. So here's the list of all the stuff I've put in there. A 375 of Andalusia white whiskey. So just they're regular whiskey before it was aged. A 750 milliliter of Santa Fe Spirits, what they call the Coyote, which is their white whiskey. My buddy Jesse over at Stillet, he gave me some samples, and it was 50 mils, so not much, 50 mils of his liquid malt extract distillate, because it's legal to distill in New Zealand. So I threw that in there because I wanted it to be very, this is mine, right? And then 50 mils, and this is the only not malt, 50 mils of his malted corn whiskey. I threw that in there because I thought maybe a little sweetness to back it up, which very little. This one was a hard one. 4 ounces of Cedar Ridge Lost Lantern, which was a heavily sherried one. 4 ounces of Abalor 12. I ended up doing 8 ounces of, there was a Texas distillery here called Modaset and Son, and they came out with a bottling of a whiskey called Alexander or something like that, and it was finished in a wine cask that was a sour wine, and it was really, really strange. I put it in there because of that sulfurous note. I was trying to ramp up, so I put like 8 ounces or more of that in there. I put 8 ounces of Westward cast strength sherry finished, 375 mils of Glenmorangie Nectar Noir, 4 ounces more, I guess I did it twice, of Nectar Noir, an entire bottle of Bunnahabhain Struidor. I don't know how to say that. I'm not in that. An entire bottle of Grainstone Sherry finished, 8 more ounces of Abelard 12, and then 2 more ounces of Westland cast strength, and then the 2 bottles of Tolberdine. And it is almost full to the brim right now. So it is, and it's so sherried. Like, it's almost like I put sherry in there, which I've actually thought about that, because I don't know if a lot of you people understand, when they do sherry barrels in America, sometimes they'll literally get bottles of sherry, stick them in the barrel, and roll them around for a day or two, dump it out, and put the whiskey in. They are saturating the barrel with sherry and then putting whiskey in it. So that would be very similar to what I'm trying to do. So once this is full, and I'm going to let it sit probably to the end of the year, I'm going to pull it all off and start putting high proof bourbon in it. So then it would be a sherried single malt finished bourbon. So
that sounds delicious.
When did you start the project? I don't remember how long it's been in the barrel.
Beginning of this year, probably. So 9 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And yeah, so it's been a while, and it is getting some oak influence. This is mixed with that, of course, but it's definitely a lot darker, which I know the sherry, it's gonna, they can color it and do the things like that too. So, I didn't put any Dalmore in it, so it's not that colored, but
Well, what's you guys' feeling on Dalmore? I'm just curious.
Okay. That's a good topic to talk about. Okay, and Psychman, if you don't know about Dalmore is a Scotch provider, and they use E150 coloring to color their Scotch to make it look older than it is. So you would get
that before.
Yeah. So you would get almost like, it's almost clear if you get a single barrel from what's that?
Cask Nation, single cask.
Yeah, Cask Nation or something like that. It is light. I mean, it's lighter than an Irish whiskey, right? But then when you get it from them, it is dark. Like, it's bourbon dark. And you're like, okay, so, and they say it's colorless, odorless. Well, it's not colorless, but it's odorless, it's tasteless. But I feel personally, and this is just me being the snob, I guess, I feel like I can taste it. Like, it tastes kind of fakey a little bit, because I've tried some single barrel expressions of it. The juice that's in it is really nice. It's just the fact that they're doing that, and they're not shady about it. They tell you they're doing it, so it's
right.
They're not being not transparent about it. It's just, I don't know, man. Present it the way it's supposed to be. Don't alter it. Like, I understand, like, and a lot of Scotch people do that. They really do. They put a lot of colorings and additives, and they proof it down way too much, and they chill filter it, and they do. And I'm like, why? Why are you making a bad product? Is that the reason? I don't know. I'd be happy to talk to anybody in the Scotch realm, and we could talk about that, because I feel like it's a thing that needs to be talked about personally.
Is there an easy way to get the different colorings in Scotch, like the E150 and the B1? There's the A, the B.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an interesting comparison to see if, like, because I've heard, and I don't remember where the source was, but I feel like I've heard it definitely adds like a viscosity to it.
Yes, it does.
The difference pre and post adding to the E150, but I'd be curious to see if we can get a couple of those samples of the different grade of coloring. And
because I think E150A is the only one that's food grade, if I'm not mistaken. All the other ones are, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Sugar Kitty's in the chat. So he would know. Yes, chill filtering can really be tasted. You're right. but like I think they also the E150A or B, whichever one, has glycol, not glycol.
I know what you mean.
Oh,
Yeah.
the other thing that they use to soften it and thicken the whiskey. Really, it's like thickening the whiskey, and it helps to like the rough edges of the whiskey. So basically, just distill better product, and and
that's all it comes down to.
Absolutely, just make a better product, and you're fine.
Just be better.
Yeah, be better at your job. Come on, you have one job: make good whiskey. Yeah, I didn't put a date of when I started. I finally found the thing. So next time I'll be more, I had a little chemo head when I was doing all that stuff. So I need a lot of grace when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
ASMR whiskey. Thanks for being here, brother. What's funny is when the people are in the chat, I don't even, like when I'm talking to y'all, I don't even think about them over there. And I'm sorry. I forget that we're even live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if anybody needs to leave at any point, just let me know. I can talk forever, as you guys well know. If you've listened to me for 5 seconds, I can. So I just released. Let's talk about this real fast. I don't know if we'll talk about the stuff I wanted to talk about, which is fine. We can do that on another episode. So I just released the Wild Turkey Jimmy Russell 70th anniversary or whatever edition. How do y'all feel about? I mean, I love Wild Turkey. And this is switching gears 100%, but I love Wild Turkey. I love everything they're doing. It's like one of those ones that's like not a guilty pleasure, but it's like it's a whiskey I go to over and over again. How do y'all feel about like Jimmy Russell himself? I feel like he's a super cool dude. He'd be really fun to drink some whiskey with. But at the same time, like he's been in the game for a minute and he's seen a lot of crap, and like they really haven't changed. Obviously, they got bought a couple, whatever. But, like, they haven't really changed what they're doing. Like, how do you feel about that?
I can take this one first. My first thing towards just starting at Jimmy Russell, I think the guy's fantastic personally.
Yeah.
We did a episode a while ago where we tried to kind of look at some of the history on some of the distilleries, and looking back at that, and there's so much rich history with that distillery.
Yes.
And especially Jimmy Russell. I love that he sticks to his guns when it comes to what he likes, what Wild Turkey he feels does good. He's like, he's like, we do 101, we do approximately 7 years old, and that's the best thing we do. And I love that that's kind of his thing. I feel like the what was it, the Long Branch thing? The Eddie Russell collaboration with Matthew McConaughey. I feel like they definitely had a conversation with Jimmy to try to get him on that.
Right.
But I feel like my headcanon was like he had some things to say to corporate or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, well, I guess we'll just get Eddie to do it because this guy's too stuck in his ways and won't just sign the piece of paper to let us put his signature on that. So I feel like that's the non-official thing that kind of happened, and I love that. I think the distillery is doing a lot of good things for bourbon. I don't think Diageo is, but I think Wild Turkey. I feel like they're trying to do as best as true as a bourbon that they can put out. I mean, they've only done, and I believe they've only done one finishing release, and that was the Voyage Master's Keep. I might be wrong on that, but I just think that they're a good, a true good old boy, a good example of what bourbon kind of is, for a representation of the category. I mean, there's nothing really bad from that distillery, I feel like.
Right. Absolutely. And as you're saying that, I was given some samples by Doc Martinez. I think he's out of the chat right now, but this is the Wild Turkey 13 year, the father and son edition, which is kind of fitting to what you said.
I have that actually.
Eddie wants to go one way. Jimmy's trying to stay true to heritage. and it's kind of a power struggle between the two of them because Eddie sees the future in whiskey, and he's like, we got to do some things because we will always be Wild Turkey 101. We will always be that, but at the same time, it's like we got to innovate a little bit. Doc is here. Doc is here. Yes, Doc, you need to edit your videos because we need to get those out ASAP because I got like 5 videos waiting on you, Doc. I know you got a wedding, but let's get it popping. And I'll tell y'all more about that when it comes time. I think we've sneaked it a little bit. We are trying to find the best Texas whiskey, period. Best Texas whiskey, period. And you can't see it, but right off camera, there's 16 samples. 16 samples of Texas whiskey. And some of them are the same sample, which is kind of cool. So, Psych Man, how do you feel about Wild Turkey?
I mean, I enjoy it. I have had no complaints about it. It's especially like the 101. All those are just really easy everyday sippers. And so I think you kind of need some of that out there to where, hey, I can go to this when I don't want to think about things. I just kind of want to enjoy a good taste in whiskey. And then kind of on weekends or something like this where you experiment a little bit more. Right.
Absolutely. I agree because, we have to have these backbone companies, like I call them the big 6, which they are. We have to have them there because craft innovates all the time. They're constantly doing something. But like when the big guys innovate, everybody's like, what are you doing? Why are you stay in your lane? And it's like, no, maybe let them do their thing. Like I enjoyed the Long Branch. Like I felt like it was a really good whiskey. Is it the Wild Turkey profile that I know and love? No, it's a little different, but it's really nice and it's great on a big ice ball. You go sit on the front porch, watch the kids play in the front yard. It's like, why not? You know what I mean? Like it's just good and it's lower proof. Like I don't know. I'm not a hater against it. Obviously, I love some of the higher proof stuff. Rare Breed obviously is everybody's favorite, right? Because it is the higher proof profile. But yeah, I don't know. So what'd you pull out there, Dylan?
Well, I pulled down the Wild Turkey Forgiven.
Okay.
Bachelor 3. It was supposedly they had a tank of bourbon and rye that one of the workers accidentally poured into each other, and thus Forgiven was the brand it got. But it's a Boo Rye, from a couple years ago. But
evidently Doc knows exactly what you're talking about because he's like, he loves that bottle. So yeah, and you're right, Sugar Kitty. They are a legacy distillery, and that's one of the things in my podcast that I released today. Please go listen to it. It won't be out on YouTube because I don't do the personal ones on YouTube. So if you want to see my ugly mug, you have to go to Patreon to watch that video. See, I keep plugging it because this was supposed to be for Patreon only. So it's one of those things like their legacy, and I don't want their legacy to die with Jimmy. You know what I mean? And I know Eddie's doing cool things, and he's right behind him. And then there's the third generation. Yeah. He's trying to do the same thing, but it's like eventually you're going to have to change or you don't, right? So it's like you have to stand in the sand. And since they are not, they're the owners of the company, but they're not the big owners. You have to meet up with bottle demands. You have to meet up with all of these things that are happening out there. And it's like, hey, if that, because I've heard a couple of people say the newest release that Wild Turkey came out with wasn't the greatest, like it was okay, but it wasn't the greatest, so like, and if you're spending high dollar $250 $300 for a bottle, it better be freaking amazing.
Yeah,
that's just personal thoughts.
No, I completely agree. Was it the Triumph? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I have heard I've heard some people think, compare it to the Cornerstone Rye from a couple years back, and it seems like it's going either way. But for the money, it's just not.
No.
Yeah, I think there's an attempt being made to get Wild Turkey into more of the, for the lack of a better word, mainstream compared to a Buffalo Trace. Because Buffalo Trace has done it completely, early days by accident. They somehow managed to get into basically every household, like kind of like Jack Daniels was back in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
But now it's a household name.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're seeing an attempt from Diageo to try to get Wild Turkey into that same tier, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I could see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Sugar Kitty, Jimmy has big shoes to fill. Because when I was doing the podcast, I was doing a lot of research on Jimmy and some of the stuff. And he Sugar Kitty posted earlier, there's a lot of stories about Jimmy that are a little off kilter as well. Some of the practices he's done. And I've heard some of that, but that's not this podcast. We talk about whiskey and whiskey only. We get a little spiritual every once in a while, but we don't go deep dive into other things, because that could be a whole nother podcast. And I'm trying to, and that's if we can get this thing going. I have somebody lined up to do whiskey and spooky stories for Halloween. So I'm hoping to get them on, because I think that'll be kind of fun to talk about whiskey and some spooky stories, because there's ghost stories all around the place. And I know that's not what Sugar Kitty was talking about, but it was a shameless plug for that. So look out for that coming real soon. But yeah, no, Wild Turkey to me is the brand. It's the brand I look at the most. Heaven Hill, Old Forester, Brown-Forman, whatever. All of those guys are great and they do great work. But like Wild Turkey is the one that I feel speaks to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything they make great? No, it's not. This Father and Son is really nice, and I've had the Forgiven. It's really good too. It's one of those things where they're staying in their lane, so to speak, and they're innovating in certain ways, but they're not in others. They're still sticking to their thing. And Sugar Kitty wrote in the comments that you should try some overseas rare breed because they're not chill filtered and stuff like that. Have
you gotten to try that?
No, I haven't tried a side by side. He wasn't talking about his practices. If you know, you know. So I don't know, Sugar Kitty. Maybe you need to come on and tell me. But yeah, I mean, I haven't tried the non-chill filtered. Which, I mean, here's the thing: chill filtering a cask strength or close to cask strength whiskey, yes, you're going to get some of the flavor away from it, but it's still going to be better than chill filtering a 40%
right.
product, I feel. And it's
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was actually able to get a overseas rare breed. So I should remind me, and I could send you a sample down, and you can.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I'd appreciate that. I'd be happy to do that. Okay. What else would we want to talk about? We went through the samples. We talked about Wild Turkey for some reason.
I'm opening up the third sample that you gave me.
Okay, what is that?
I think it's the real spirits.
Oh yeah, real spirit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if you're on the Patreon and I send you samples, I'm always going to try to send a sneaky sample in there as well of something new and different that has either been on the show, which I like to showcase those people because they were gracious enough to respond to an email or a text message or whatever I sent them. And Real Spirits is one of those. They're in Blanco, Texas, and they are a very small distillery, 250-gallon pot. They're not making a whole lot of product. They have 2 Connexes that they fill with whiskey, and they're just doing their thing. And this is their Distiller's Edition, which they are a brewery by trade. So real ale is their main product, and they make beer. So in their mash tun, he's using the same mash tun for his whiskey. So he can only have 15% adjunct grain. So it has to be 85% malt, and then he can do 15% anything else. So this one is 15% corn, 15% rye and 15% or full. Maybe was it wheat? No, it wasn't wheat. And then the full barley mash bill. So, and then it's blended together after it's distilled. So, really super cool. It's to me it's really earthy, but it's very malty. Obviously, it's malt heavy. It is a malt whiskey with bourbon backbone. But it's a really good one. And Dylan, you got the Dad's Hat?
Yep.
Okay. What did you think of that one?
I thought it was really good. It was very floral. It was spicy. It did have a nice was it a red fruit sweetness?
Now it was that the I don't remember the sample.
It was the port finished.
Oh, port finished. Okay, so that is a 9-month-old whiskey. Yeah, 9 months. Because he said, "Hey, this is good. Let's pull it out. Like, we don't need to age it for 5 years. We're not doing bottled and bond. We're not trying to get an age statement. Is the whiskey good?" And it's 85% regular rye, 15% malt, no, 10% malted rye, and 5% malted barley. So no corn at all. So it does have a different flavor than most ryes that you would drink because it doesn't have any corn. So it doesn't even taste close to a bourbon.
Right. Yeah, it's got the it's got a heavy, what is that? It's got not a wood. I mean, it is a wood, but not the type. I was trying to think of a specific wood.
Port
wood. So whenever I'm like, oh, it smells like wood, I always say like sandalwood, and I don't know if that is ever accurate,
right?
But that's what always comes to mind. But I mean, I'm getting what I'm interpreting as a sandalwood, followed up with the slight green notes and a very red, like a strawberry fruit finish.
Okay.
From
Gotcha.
the port.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's
really
the cool thing.
It's good.
And that's the cool thing because it's different. It's not like any whiskey that I've had. And I picked up a bottle of their cast strength whiskey, which I'm really excited to get into because everything they do is 90, 95, or 100 proof. They don't really do anything over that. Well, this just happened to be I think it was a Seelbach purchase, and it was a single barrel cast strength, and it was like 123 or something like that. So I'm kind of hoping that it brings out more esters and more like has a little more oil to it.
Right.
I don't know the age on it right offhand. Shoot, I might crack into that tonight. Who knows? Here's the thing, and I don't know about you guys, but like I get that you don't get this, but I get sent bottles, and then I open those because I'm doing the podcast with them or whatever, and then I don't really want to open another bottle. Like I don't want to have 800 open bottles that I can't drink. Right. So I'll sit there and sip on a bottle until it's gone and then move on to the next. And then I have floor whiskey that gets in the way of it's encroaching into the hallway. And I'm like, okay, that needs to be, so then, what do you do? It's a vicious cycle. You know what I mean?
To Patreon.
Yeah, well, that was part of it. Thank you.
Subscribe to Patreon.
William Hall, thanks for coming. He was on. I did my video for Ranger Creek and posted it today, and he was on there. I appreciate you being there. Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiast, thanks for being here, brother or sister, whichever one of you it is. Okay, so Old Fashioned Ways. Let's talk about him real fast. He won the other Infinity Barrel that I gave away on my live stream the last time. And he's still working on figuring out what he's going to do with that. But this man, he goes and he gets some whiskey, right? He gets 10, 15 whiskeys at a time. And then when he does his whiskey haul, it's quite a big haul. And he opens 95% of the whiskeys that he has, so like, how do you do that? Because he obviously gives samples out. I don't want to collect. Okay, so he doesn't want to collect. He wants options. He wants to be able to go and be like, I'm feeling this, and not feel ashamed to open up a Weller Foolproof. You know what I mean? Just because it's sitting there, and he loves to share. I do appreciate that, and that's a part of this whiskey community that we are all in, even if it's vicariously or actively, however you want to put it. That we are here to help each other out and share. And hey, you haven't tried that? I'll send you a sample of that right now. That's what this is all about. This is the whiskey community. No matter how small you are, or you could be the biggest guy. I have friends that have 500,000 followers. That I can pick up the phone right now and call. So it's. And I have friends that have 0 followers because they don't do the thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's one of those things where you're just you're there for the whiskey and the love of it, and helping people out and enjoying their content and being like, hey, this was really fun and this was cool. And I hope that, and I'm not trying to sign off at all, I'm just saying, I hope that everybody enjoys the content that we're trying to put out as well, because it's one of those things where we're trying and we're trying to do the thing, but we're also trying to live life and be like, hey, I want to get into these samples. Let's talk about them. And luckily we were able to do that. So
that's cool.
Yeah. I think there's people want people to try new things.
Yeah.
Especially like in the whiskey community. And I think that's what's great, because I mean, the biggest hang up for just consumers, people that are trying to enjoy things, is we don't get everything. Every market's different. Yeah. Even in one state, the markets are different. Yeah. So you're not going to have access to everything. Like I can't tell you if I've ever even seen a bottle of Dad's Hat on a shelf before.
I have 6 if you need a bottle. But I went a little crazy on the Dad's Hat there for a minute, not gonna lie.
But I mean, you have to send people stuff. It's like,
absolutely.
And when I sent you that rum thing, it was just like, you were saying like, I haven't had a lot of rums, and I'm like, guess what I just got into? Yeah. And sent some of those rums your way. But it is fun to explore, because it opens up new things you can base your experiences on. Your taste, tasting.
You said rum, and I'm doing Sample G Foursquare Sovereignty. I'm just going to do a little pour, because this one to me spoke to me very well. It's like a bourbon drinker's rum, I guess you could say. Super nice, super caramelly, super vanilla'd, but yet you get that. I don't know if they're using molasses or cane or not, but like it's super viscous and dark and rich and amazing. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to branch out. I'm not trying to be the rum shaman. I'm not trying to be the brandy shaman or nothing. Like I want to stay in my lane, but understanding rum, because I just bottled down, I just bottled down that plantation rum Iron Root that's right there. Okay, I'm not going to lie, and I'm saying this right now, that could be bourbon of the year for me.
That's probably one of my favorites that I've had so
far. Luckily, I have a backup bottle, thanks to you. That one sketchy Specs we went to, remember? The lights were flickering, the power went off. They were trying to kick us out. But we found the JT Mellick single barrel and that. What are we doing? But anyway, getting into rum, I'm not getting into it, but like trying different rums and Marshall from Rough Spirits sent me over some really funky Jamaican, rums as well, which I'm all about, because if I can get into peat, I can get into funk, right? And then Moose just texted me yesterday, Moose from Andalusia. He goes, hey bro, I'm working on an absinthe. I need your help. Can you come tomorrow? And I'm like, no, bro, I can't just drop everything and come up. I would love to. No, he said next weekend. And we're actually going to be out of town for a wedding next weekend. So I'm like, bro, I would love to come. Believe me, I would love to come help you make absinthe, but I can't. And so that's the whiskey community in itself. And when you've developed these relationships, mine just happens to be with distilleries, which I'll take that, whatever. If they can give me some free booze every once in a while, that's great. But having this whiskey community, and then you're like, hey, try this rum. It'll help you be a better whiskey person, or it'll open your palate a little bit to where you can explore these different things, because that Iron Root was plantation rum finished. Plantation rum is different than a Foursquare or whatever. So like trying the different types of rum, agricole rum and this and that, trying the different rums and the different brandies. And I am going to do a brandy episode, I promise, guys. I just, a lot of time in the day. I wish I had more, because I still have to shoot a video or two after we get off of here. So cheers to that. At least I'll be well lubricated before I do that. So, but this Foursquare is amazing, and I thank you so much, because I know this wasn't a cheap bottle.
Yeah, and that's the nice things about rum is and again, I totally agree. Like, whiskey is my thing. I don't need any more things. The fun thing of rum is it has a very wide price that you can get into, like an entry price.
Right. So
there's some gems. I kind of feel like the rum industry is kind of like how the whiskey industry was probably back in the early 2000s. In my uneducated opinion, it does seem like there's similarities to that, but selfishly, I kind of hope it doesn't take off like the bourbon craze did.
Right.
Because the first things that are going to go are going to be those Foursquares.
Right.
But yeah, no, there's so many things in every industry that you can kind of explore, and rum's just one thing that can help you improve your whiskey palate. Right,
absolutely. So Dylan, I'm going to ask you a personal question. If you don't want to answer, I totally understand.
Sure.
You're a young buck in the game. Is that correct? And how long have you been into whiskey?
So, I turned 21 in 2017, and at the time, I didn't really like. Yeah, I'm not trying to date anyone.
Making me count.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. But I didn't like beer that much. It made me just tired, kind of, and it was kind of hard to. It was difficult to drink sometimes the full thing because it would get warm or whatever reason.
Right.
And I was too lazy to make cocktails
fast enough.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. You're not doing the German style where you chug the thing.
But so I was lazy. I didn't really want to make cocktails. And so I kind of clinged onto bourbon just because that's kind of what I recognized.
Okay.
My family was pretty it wasn't taboo. Alcohol wasn't taboo. It was very, straightforward of this is, whiskey. This is, you don't want to drink too much or whatever.
Right.
So I think it was a very safe, it was safe around that. I understood that it could be a bad thing. But I kind of was raised in a way that I understood it in its place. So when I had kind of some idea of brand recognition. So my first bottle I got was a Knob Creek pick, or like a small batch or something.
Right.
Because that's what I kind of knew to an extent.
Right.
So I tried that. I'm like, that's pretty good. And then what kind of led me down this path was I had a buddy that was like a year or two older than me. And he gets into hobbies really quickly and out of hobbies really quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a little ADHD. He's a good guy. Love him.
It happens.
Yeah. But he was in a whiskey, hobby for a while and kind of exploring, and he was watching, of course, Whiskey Tribe,
right?
Whiskey Vault, actually. And so he had me and my other buddy, it was my cousin actually, over, and I think he had just got a bottle of Ardbeg 10, and he was trying to, put, he wanted to see our reaction to it. Yeah. And so me coming from just like Knob Creek or whatever, tried it, and man, it was like a campfire. But I didn't hate it, but it really stuck around. And so the next time I came back, I'm like, hey, you still have that? And I tried it, and then I, started watching Whiskey Tube stuff and trying to understand more of it, because I realized there was more behind it than just the labels, and even the branding itself had history and heritage and story, which I loved. So that was a big aspect too, not just the whiskey tastes good. It was what what it represented behind it too. And it just, I put all my free time pretty much into that. It was just video watching, a little bit of research. And then, some of my other friends around the same time got to be of drinking age, and we're like, we should, we wanted to start a podcast a little, before the whiskey thing happened.
Right.
And this was like 2019, before a little bit everyone got into podcasting.
Right.
And then, so we were doing stuff, and we had a couple of videos that we did that wasn't whiskey related. And then I started bringing whiskey into the podcast episodes sometimes, and we're like, hey, try this.
Yeah.
And then, my other friend got into Japanese whiskey as it was red hot in popularity. Yeah. And then that's kind of led us up to where we are now. We started doing it in 2020, and then just kind of one thing led to another. So
yeah. Awesome. So you've been in the podcasting game for a couple of years now.
Yep. Yeah. You probably can't tell for how bad it is, but yeah.
Shut up. No, it's all good. And the cool thing about you guys' show is it's kind of I don't want to say a backseat approach, but it's more like just dudes talking, kind of like we're talking right now. This is more the content that you guys have on your show. It is information driven. There is information, and you look up things and you're like, hey, no, you were wrong about that. It's actually this, which is really cool that you guys do that on the fly and stuff. But like, it's really just a couple of guys hanging around, drinking some cool whiskey. Or maybe it's not cool whiskey. Who knows? You just did the Hot Ones episode, which I thought was really cool. It has nothing to do with whiskey, but like, it was a super cool episode because like, you're tasting each other, or you're checking out each other's palate to what they can handle. And I was like, man, I really like this one. It's the super hot one, but it's not that hot to me, And the other one's like, I can't even have the first one, So it's kind of a It's really cool, like what you guys are trying to present out there. And again, if you guys haven't followed Whiskey House Pub House, please go. They are on YouTube and Spotify, and I don't know where else you guys are, but you guys are everywhere. Hopefully, if you're not, you need to be. One of them that's really hard for me is Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. I'm like, I have like 2 people over there. I'm like, do you guys not know I'm on Amazon? I'm on Amazon. You can get audiobook like Audible and listen to the podcast while you're listening to your book about serial killers or whatever you listen to during the day. I don't know. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because, it's you do it, and sometimes you're wondering if is it worth continuing?
Is anyone listening?
Yeah, but it's like, for me, it's like, I gotta think of like, well, if I enjoy doing it, it's just something I gotta do, and I try not to have any expectations that I form, and for the most part it's been really good, and then it's been fun, and I've enjoyed your podcast, and I think I started listening to your podcast, I think right around the time when I think you were having some of your medical problems. And I went back, and I've listened to pretty much all. I'm like 99% sure I've listened to all of them, but
okay, cool. Well, I appreciate that, because most people can't get past the when I was stuttering during chemo. So like, I get it and I appreciate it. But here's the deal, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. The fact that, and this was like a thing that I made myself do, and this was all internal. I was like, I have to go do a podcast. I have to keep up that, because I was told by somebody, if you don't produce the content, nobody's ever going to see it.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm literally I did the podcast and went and laid down. Like, that's what I did, but to me, like, that struggle, going through that struggle, and I'm sure you guys have had that in your podcast as well, different struggles in life, right? Going through those struggles makes the show better, and it makes it real, because I don't want to be one of these fake people that is up there like, oh, my life is perfect, all these things, because life isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect in life. And so the one thing I want to be is 100% real, and I feel like you guys are doing that as well. And Psych Man, chime in at any time, because I know that you have some thoughts on all this as well, being a Psych Man. But it's one of those things where, like, if I don't produce the content, it made me feel weird that I was not giving you what I felt at that time. So yeah, it was hard, but I did it, and I was like, wow, most people probably would just be like, screw it, I'll see y'all in 6 months when I'm done with this, So yeah, I'm not trying to give myself a pat on the back, but at the same time,
I think it's important when people are going through some of those things, so that they have some sort of goal, right? Hey, I'm doing something today, or I'm going to do something in the near future, just to kind of get through those really tough medical moments, especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely.
I had it was nowhere near
right,
the stuff that you had to go through, but in 2022, me and my buddies and my dad, we got motorcycles. My dad he rode motorcycles for a long time before us.
Right.
And we just got into motorcycles, and I have no experience off-road riding at all. And we were up in Ely, Minnesota, and that's basically it's Canada border of Canada and US. Like, not quite, but it's up there. And we were riding on this ATV trail and off-road bike trail, and super unexperienced on my little ADV bike, and hit some sand and just washed out the front and started wobbling, and my foot got the death wobble, and my foot came off of the peg.
Oh God.
And I had these nice, kind of like motocross boots, so they were in my head. I was very protected, and I pinned the foot or the leg between the tire and the ground, so it didn't have anywhere to articulate.
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding a place to articulate, which happened to be it was the tibia, and just completely, it took that foot and pinned the tibia down, and I just remember watching my bike ghost ride off into the woods, and I'm like, that hurt, something hurt. And I'm like, all right, I fell flat on my butt. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look. I'm like, hopefully it's all there. And I looked, and it was just foot pointing the wrong way, and I'm like, crap.
That's not good.
This was gonna be a long day. And they ended up calling in a helicopter and flying me to Duluth, which is Superior side. And that was like a 46-minute helicopter ride, and I was there for approximately an hour, and that was quite the experience.
Wow.
But you get back to the podcasting aspect, like it was hard to try to do that, because I wanted to do it, but I couldn't like sit upright, because you got that pressure on that in the boot.
Yeah.
But that was something. But
you got to lay down in the bed, like just hold the microphone next to you.
I just feel real stupid. I'm like, man, like I spent a lot of the time like, I kind of wish I broke my arm now, because I could be able to walk around.
Yeah, at least do something, right?
Yeah. But
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not awesome, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I vow not to ride on the dirt anymore. But
yeah, well, I mean, hopefully we live and learn.
Yeah.
And go on from there, because most people don't. And Psychman can attest to this. They continue to do the same stupid mistakes over and over again and never learn from them. And so, yeah. Hopefully we live and learn, and then we're okay. I need to change the way I do things, because hey, that didn't work out for me very well. All right, so I will tell you guys. I want both of you to stick on real fast if you can, but this is a good place to wrap it up. We're at an hour 30. Sugar Kitty and Buffalo Bourbon are talking about going to Munich for Oktoberfest, which I'm all over, all over that. I would love to do that. Anyway, so all of y'all, thank you very much for hanging out with us. It's been an hour and a half. I think we did a pretty good hit on it. Make sure you go to Whiskey House Pub House and sign up for everything that they're doing. They're doing some cool stuff. Make sure you find them. And also, if you could give this thing a like, a follow, subscribe if you're not already. I'm sure you probably are. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. It was fun, and I appreciate it. Y'all be good. Thank you, Dylan and Psych Man, for coming on here and hanging out with me. And we drank some good whiskey, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again.
Thanks for the samples.
In private, not with all these looky-loos watching us. But y'all be good, and until next time, keep your spirits up.